Regular meeting. Today's Wednesday, August 8th, 2018, 6 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Here.
Commissioner Neal?
Here.
Mayor Henderson?
Here.
Attorney Rubenstein?
Here. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from July 11th, 2018, and the workshop meeting from July 25th, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings.
Second.
Motion and second. That's it tonight, wow. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mary, please call all three of us.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, one of you two are going to have to make a motion to ratify the bills for July and August 2018.
I'll make a motion we ratify the bills for July and August of 2018.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Next up is acceptance of the 2017 audit, Richard Christini from Davidson, Jameson, and Christini.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As indicated, my name is Richard Christini. I'm the partner in charge of the Town of Redington Shores audit. And I'm not going to read this 100-page or so report to you. Not when only three of you get to hear it. It was a good year, suffice to say. The opinion letter on pages, as indicated, were what we refer to as a clean opinion. In all material respects, the assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenditures are fairly stated. Keep in mind that the governmental report has really two different balance sheets and two different income statements and other statements for purposes of things like your capital projects fund. The first balance sheet that you see on page 13 is what we call the government-wide. And what makes that difference from your general fund? That's the fund that this commission runs the town on. That's the fund that adopts a budget under, 206, the state of Florida, requiring that a budget be adopted for your operating funds and that you post a statement in the newspapers so that people can see what the proposed budget is going to be, and that you hold hearings, public hearings, before adoption. And the statement of net position is what marks it different from what we call your general fund or your governmental fund, is that it's on a full accrual basis. The basis under which your governmental fund or general fund is maintained is what they call cash or near cash. It's sort of an other. If you were in the commercial sector, they would call it OCBOA, Other Comprehensive Basis of Accounting, which I know you don't need to worry about. But simply said, it's like your check register, how you run your home and how you pay bills and operate in that fashion. That really is your general fund. You follow your budget, you adopt it, you prospectively review everything before adoption. You let the citizens have a say in terms of whether they think that's fair or whether they think you shouldn't adopt the budget or approve the expenditures, because that's the important part. Suffice to say that statement of net position being on the full accrual basis, you have your fixed assets, you have depreciation. These are all commercial enterprise activities, like you were looking at IBM, okay, or their report. And you have debt, and that is all presented in that balance sheet. Keep in mind when this was adopted under what we refer to as GASB 34, 10 years ago, the intention was to try to make the people who render credit happy. In other words, the lenders said that your governmental fund was not understandable. They couldn't understand revenues and payments, all right, collections for taxes and then payments for operations of the town, okay? So they said the board went ahead and adopted full accrual. Suffice to say that after this format was adopted, these same people who were the credit givers or the grantors in this country, and in Florida, they were not this state is not exempt. They told us they didn't understand it. We'd get phone calls from reading a city or town's report and said, you have to explain it to us, we don't understand it. And I think back to, because I attended some of those hearings in New York, and I remember that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the GASB, I remember them saying to these same people, tell us what you want. Tell us what will make you better able to do your job and lend money to governmental units across the country. And they all said, oh, well, this is what we want. Well, suffice to say that they didn't like it. Not to make them happy, you'll be happy to know that the GASB has already implemented a research project to change this. So we're probably 2 years away from publication of their due diligence to let everybody, because as you would imagine, the GASB staff cannot render an opinion unless it has due process that is approved by the board. In other words, they circularize it and they write across the country, and they write to practitioners, and they write to Mary and finance officers across the country and say, is this okay, or do you like it or not like it? Only then does the board put forth what they call an exposure draft to see if this is the accounting that needs to be followed. They're not there yet for the new format. They have made the announcement about 3 months ago that that given the staff has been assigned. Ken Schumann, who is the technical man for GASB, is in charge of this project. And as I said, it's going to take a while. So the format that you see in front of you is probably going to be here for a while. Moving on, and suffice to say, if we just look at page 14, governmental activities on that page, and that's on a full accrual basis. Net change in that position down the bottom there, $289,000. If you were looking at a commercial report, financial statement, you would say $289,558 before tax. Some of you are familiar with EBITDA, earnings before income tax and so forth. This is without tax. So the bottom line goes straight to fund balance or retained earnings. On page 16, you have your governmental fund balance sheet, which is what we talk about, and this is, as we said, this is how the commission runs the town and legislates the approval of the budget. And you can see that for the general fund, we had net change in fund balance of some $249,000, and there's a reconciliation as well. How did we get from full accrual to the ACBOA or governmental side? And there's a reconciliation on page 17 for those of you that might delve into it. But it has to do with capital assets. In other words, in the general fund balance sheet, we don't show fixed assets. We don't show cars and buildings and the other things that the town has title to, and has to fund for. The biggest liability that is not in either of these balance sheets that this town faces is the replacement of all of your infrastructure. In other words, are you going to have enough money to replace this building? When are you going to have it? Are you going to have enough money to replace all your vehicles? Which begs the question of a bad storm, because the commission also has to deal with that and have funds available for that and the protection of citizens. So you're balancing a lot of balls. That liability at this point is not on either balance sheet, but this is one of the subject issues that GASB is looking at, because they're saying that's a big liability, but we don't book it anywhere. Suffice to say that GASB, as we said before, has never met a footnote that they don't like. So it's entirely possible that they will end up proposing that some of those liabilities begin to be posted into your government-wide balance sheet, and keep in mind, when they say that, your total net position, that would be what they refer to as unrestricted, is $8,400,000. That's where they would get the money to post that liability from, okay? So that would suddenly reduce that fund balance. Your fund balance for budgetary purposes is $5,370,000. And that's carried forward to your next budget year. So the differences between there, depreciation, you capitalize assets for government-wide, you do not for your governmental, you have debt and your debt payments, and you, interestingly enough, you do not accrue interest on your debt in government on the general fund basis. You do over in government-wide because it's a de facto corporate accounting. Okay. Suffice to say that it was, from that perspective, that was a good year. Let's look on page 18. That's your budget, budget actual, original budget, final budget, and actual amounts. The difference between those first two columns is if the commission approves a budget amendment, that has to be built in to that final account, okay? So that then when you compare that, that's what you compare to actual. What did we collect and what did we spend? And as you can see, total revenues, we had anticipated $2.3 million for collection, and we collected $2.349 million. So we collected more than we thought we were going to collect. Commission does not have a perfect highlight or insight to what those numbers are going to be when you sit down. It's you do the best you can. Obviously, the big number is the ad valorem, and you're guided by what the property appraiser sends you as far as information, like how much taxable property is there in the town, and then you build on that. You have the 3% issue coming up with respect to will that pass? Will that reduce tax revenues for the town? If it passes, it's quite possible that it's going to reduce for 24 municipalities in Pinellas County, of which you are one. So everybody's trying to deal with that in a different manner. And you can see that just by reading the local section of your newspaper. Total revenues, and therefore, were $2.349 million. Total expenditures, something else for highlight. When you're dealing in government-wide, you're dealing with expenses. When you're dealing with general government, you're dealing with expenditures. Okay? And that's a refinement or a difference between how you arrive at the number. In this case, our expenditures exceeded revenue, or revenues exceeded expenditures by $390,000. We had some transfers, so we ended up with $249,835, which is available for future budgeting by the commission. Overall, what that tells you is we had a positive variance. We spent less than we thought we were going to spend by $104,000. We collected more than we thought we'd collect by $47,000. So we came out ahead $152,000. And I know somebody can easily make the argument, well, there were programs that the commission adopted in the budget, and you didn't exercise, you didn't implement those programs, which means we didn't spend the money. That's entirely possible. We typically don't delve into that. Those would be programs that the commission would get rebudgeted into the next fiscal year. But we didn't see, other than some small items, or maybe some not so small items. So there's typically in this type of a presentation, those dollars, while they're available for carryover, they're probably already committed to expenditures that were already budgeted in the year that we're in right now. So suffice to say, that's not uncommon. On pages 19 and 20, you see your proprietary fund, and that's what we refer to as an enterprise fund. It is the sewer fund. Once again, enterprise funds, which sewer fund is one, is accounted for as a commercial enterprise. It's an IBM presentation. You would have debt, fixed assets, just as you would in the government-wide. I was just reading the other, something interesting inside on page 18. This is on fines. You see charges for services and fines. Fines is typically for violations that the commission sets or tickets that the police department issues and the town shares in. I've often thought that when it shifts over to the government-wide, fines gets reported as charges for services. How are you going to explain that to somebody who just got a ticket? You mean, you're giving me a ticket and it's a charge for the service? And yes, that's correct. Doesn't make sense, but sometimes the accounting does not. Suffice to say that it was a good year as far as the town is concerned. Certainly open for any questions in the back. Just a reminder that in the back, this is what we refer to as a comprehensive report, are various tables, they're 10-year tables, financial trends, and so forth. These are 10-year tables. Gives you an insight of the history of how these numbers developed over time. And it would be something that certainly that the commission would look at when you're deliberating with your budget. Because if you want to say, well, what were non-ad valorem revenues last year? What were essential service expenditures? All of that data is available. So you can look back and say, gee, this is, and what that also tells you is the rate of increase from year to year. Our price is going up. This will disclose that to you without really too much effort. So that's suffice to let you see that. We're not going to go through reading these, but these are what they refer to as the comprehensive disclosures. Those tables, those schedules in the back are not required by the state of Florida for proper reporting. The Auditor General of the state of Florida says, I don't want it, I don't need it. But your town has adopted their implementation and putting that in. Put it this way, if this report, for purposes of disclosure to meet Auditor General standards and the state, this is where you are. To meet the standards that you have elected with the additional information, you're shooting up here. Not all cities implement this type of reporting because it takes more work for staff as well as your auditor. Certainly open to any questions.
I just have a comment. I almost understand what you said this whole time here. That's scary.
Oh,
Almost.
thank you.
No, it is comprehensive, and I do appreciate the tables and the data in the back. That is very helpful.
Okay. And it's, you can use that for new citizens and new residents, and certainly, as I said, the biggest thing is that the commission can refresh those when you start getting those budget schedules and the estimates for the coming year. Because at some point you have to go over them. You have to have your public hearings, and sometimes those can get a little dicey depending upon what the commission would like to do. The commission may see that there's a problem and they need to spend some money, and that may not be a popular thing.
Further questions?
No.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Is there a motion, Mayor, to accept?
I would make a motion that we accept the auditor's report.
I second that.
Motion and second, any discussion? We've already discussed enough. All right, Mayor, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, on to commission reports. I'm going to start with, I know red tide's on everybody's mind, and I have no idea if it's coming or not, but I know it has shifted northward. If it does hit, I know that the FWC waived its rules to help the cleanup effort. Did you see that, Mary?
No.
Um,
On the website?
No, ABC did something about it, and it said that the change will speed up the removal of the dead fish regardless of bag size. You know how you have to report certain sizes, well, regardless of all that. There's no possession limits, the season or area closures from the shoreline, inshore, or near shore areas. So that will help a lot, because I was talking to Brad about it today. It's like, well, that's good news to hear. So, and if it does hit, we may be asking for some volunteers, and our plan would be that we would provide gloves, masks, and anything to help the cleanup efforts, but we're hoping for the best. But it could be worse, it could be a hurricane. So it's just the red tide. I think it's minor compared to what it could be this
I just got an
season.
up-to-date report just a little while ago on my email, and the movement's going south now.
Oh, really? Keep blowing, put the fans on. We did it for the hurricane, it worked. Also, undergrounding update. The most recent communication we have is suggesting October, November, right, Mary?
Yes.
And that is because of some delays they're having with the FDOT permitting. So I'm not exactly sure where they would be starting, because it's all three Reddingtons, so I'm not sure if it would be our town and working that way, or that town and working this way, but let's hope it starts here and moves that way.
All three Reddingtons on the east
East
side? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep. Yeah. Also wanted to mention the town picnic, which is October 13th. So don't forget to mark your calendars if you haven't already. My Parks and Rec Committee is meeting tomorrow at 6 PM if you'd like to come and join and put your 2 cents in and thoughts, because we're starting the planning process tomorrow. I also wanted to introduce Nikki, our new deputy clerk. I know last meeting I said that we were in the hiring process, and we have, there's Nikki right there. I don't know, Nikki, you want to say anything about yourself?
I'm from Reddington Shores. I was born and raised here, and so I'm extremely excited to be now working and serving the town that I've grown up in, and my grandfather was a past commissioner. So this is near and dear and very bittersweet to me to be able to accept this position. I'm very thankful.
We're very happy to have you.
Very happy.
And over their head, that was donated by her grandmother after Commissioner Dahmer passed away.
And even the pictures, I believe, right, that we were selling for the 50th anniversary, we're paying.
My grandmother did those right before she passed.
So she has some deep roots here, which,
She was very, a lot of pictures down in Brockmont.
Yep.
so we're very excited to have such a deep-rooted person here. She's our second historian.
Welcome.
Yes, pretty much so. Commissioner Neal, do you have anything to report?
Yes, I actually have some good news today. We're starting, you'll see the trucks in the 176th Avenue area west or east, bringing in, we're redoing the manholes and starting lining in the sewer lines there. So when you see the Miller Pipeline trucks and the other, first they're going to clean the lines. That's all good, because that's going to help us tremendously with our sewer meter problem. But good news on that front. I spoke with Commissioner Beyruti, with the new commissioner for Pinellas County, and he hooked me up with Ken Jorgen, which is their supervisor of the utilities. And the sewer meters, we should be getting a refund for the month of June for approximately 4 million gallons that we paid for. We got charged, well, it's almost 15 million gallons, and it should have been like 11. So the meter was, the bracket that holds the meter in the line broke and it was rusted, so they put a new one in. So we're going to go back with the help of Ken Jorgen and his staff. We're going to take all of our meter readings that we've been doing for our own lift stations and giving them to them, and they're going to try to calculate what kind of money we should have coming back all the way back from January of this year. And also, the other good news is that we want to have a backup plan for reading the meter. We've all been talking about this for a few months now. So Ken actually said that he has there's a couple of things that we need bracket-wise, that he will help us, and we can put it in a manhole west of where the main lift station is now. So we'll have 2 different readings on it, and just in case one's messed up, we'll already know where the other one is. So we got 2 companies looking at that now, and when we get the prices back, I thought I would have some numbers tonight, but we don't. So that's going to work out. I'm pleased to say that. This has been an ongoing thing, and it's drug everybody down for a little bit. That's all I have on the sewer. The Veterans Park, hopefully we have some benches and trash cans and bike rack delivered here. It was supposed to be in by now. It hasn't come, but when it comes, it'll be put in immediately. And we have a plaque coming for the boulder, and then we'll probably have some kind of little dedication ceremony for that.
Great.
But that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work on the sewer.
Yeah, Jeff, can I ask a question? The communication you're having with Pinellas County, that's all positive? There's no pushback on?
No, all positive.
On the issue of whether or not we were overcharged or not, and they're working with you?
No, they're working. They've been through this before. Commissioner
had
Branch,
before, but, yeah.
Commissioner Branch talked to the same man And matter of fact, Ken, he commented on such a fine fellow that Mr. Branch was, and which he is. He's a good man, and I like to hear that. I hope maybe 20 years from now, somebody says that about me.
You're gonna have to wait that long? Okay, well, thank you.
I'll say it now.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Robinson.
Beach renourishment is going along as planned. All the communities and municipalities that we've talked to where it has occurred are very pleased and positive about the quality of the sand that's being delivered. The contractor is sifting or straining the sand, so he's removing rocks and stones and shells, unlike the last time that nourishment occurred. So everyone's pleased with that. It should be going along well. It should be in our area over the next probably the latter part of September into October, more likely. It's good to hear that red tide isn't moving our direction. That would really mess things up if we had to deal with removing debris from the shoreline at the same time that nourishment was occurring. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Nothing under old business, new business. Attorney Rubenstein?
Just one quick matter. I did a memo to all the commissioners that I believe you've seen with the proposed settlement agreement between the town and Mr. Bayruti. And we can have a motion to either approve or deny the proposed settlement and to allow our office to make any ministerial changes that need to be made when we present it to the other side.
I didn't catch all that.
Just in allowing our office to make any ministerial changes because the other side has not officially approved it yet. So if you all approve it tonight, I'll take it to them. And then if there's some wording, as long as the terms are not changed, but if you'll approve it.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second that motion.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Any questions on there?
No, don't get me
No,
started
we've read
on
that
that
memo.
one.
Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to need a motion to renew the Pinellas Public Library Cooperative Agreement for 2018. I don't know if you have to read anything for it. No?
Yeah.
It's
And Commissioner
Drum.
Drum, the library commissioner, is in agreement with it also.
Thank you. I'll need a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve the library interlocal agreement.
I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, the county beach access trees, the parking lot, they need trimming, and we need approval for quotes. I don't know who got the quotes exactly, but.
Brad did.
Oh, Brad did?
Yes. So we
Okay.
got a quote, with in your binder, from Primescape for $4,029, and from Pinellas Tree Service for $7,400.
Seems like a huge discrepancy, yes.
Do you know if we've used either one of these companies in the
I
past?
believe we have used Primescape in the past.
We used Pinellas Tree after the storm too, didn't we?
Yes, yeah,
No issues that you know of with Primescape?
no.
Okay, I would make a motion that we accept Primescape's bid of $4,029.
I second that.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Do we split this with the county?
No.
This is our,
This is our portion.
what we have agreed to do to upkeep our
Okay.
parking lot, but we do get quite a bit of money from the parking lot fees.
We get more.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion anymore? Everybody good? Mary, please call roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, I'm going to need a motion to ratify the hiring of our deputy clerk, Nikki Craney.
I make a motion, we ratify the hiring of Nikki Crane.
And I'd happily second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Just, we're very happy to have you. Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, I'm going to need a motion to ratify the merit increase for our town clerk, Mary Palmer.
I'll make a motion that we ratify the merit increase for the town clerk.
At 8%. It was
Yes, 3%.
I second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, we have an interlocal agreement with Forward Pinellas that will need a motion to approve such.
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Pinellas, or Forward Pinellas.
A second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Yes, all that is it replaces one that's due to expire, so there's no real significant change
Right.
here. It just allows us to utilize them should we want their services.
And doesn't Commissioner Drum do that too, as well? I think he's part of.
Well, he's the representative, yeah, he oversees
Yeah.
but we've been working with him already.
Yep, okay. All right, so motion and second, no more discussion. Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. All right, there's something that's not on the agenda, but it is to ratify the purchase of 2 new computers in the front office. And Adrian, our IT man, did a lot of research and found a great deal on 2 computers. They were $749 a piece, so 2 of them were a total of $14.98. And our other ones were very, very slow and very, very, very painful.
Time to go.
Yes, it was time for them to go, so I'll need a motion.
I make a motion, we purchase their computers.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, there's been a proclamation from October 23rd to October 31st, 2018 is Red Ribbon Week. And that's basically in the schools and whatnot, saying no to drugs and making it aware. And kids always do something at all the schools to crush out drugs. So I would like to make that proclamation. Okay, any public comments? We have a big audience. Nobody wants to talk. No.
Well, you already hit my notes on the underground.
Yeah, okay, good. And if the red tide changes, please send us something.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we heard it was just moving this way.
Yeah, it was last week, but I just got the update report from FWC, and they said that this week yours movement's going to be going south.
Oh, I hope
Did they
that's
change it on their website?
I don't know, they email me once a week.
I heard that too, because the wind's supposed to shift and blow offshore.
Yep. Guess it went southwest, southwest, I think.
good.
Great.
All right. With that, the next workshop meeting is Wednesday, August 29th, 2018, at 6 p.m. And the regular meeting is Wednesday, September 12th, 2018, at 6 p.m. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.